What's up, Ed? What's up, Ed? What's up, guys? It's Ed here from Geek. We're back with another Google Ads Agency Roundtable. Got Nick, I've got Mark, and Dustin. Let's force him out for Dustin. Dustin's no longer with us, or at least for this week. All right. So last couple of weeks, we've talked about Google Ads sales process. We've talked about onboarding. We've talked about some omnipresence and retargeting and being in front of your market. Today, we're going to talk about the Google Ads experience for the first 30 days of running a campaign. Now, we can delve into running a campaign with us. And also, if you're doing it yourself, or if you have a Google Ads rep running it for you or running a smart campaign. So kind of open up and we'll give a spectrum of the good, bad, and the ugly of kind of what to expect in that first 30 days. So, Nick, since this was your topic, let's get you started. Walk through how you talk to your clients about that first 30 days.
Yeah, so this is a hot topic issue for us. There's a lot of when you're in, regardless of the niche, there's going to be some fly-by-nights out there, right? There's going to be some people that claim to be industry disruptors and that are going to make you millions tomorrow. But this reigns true. I think I probably heard this phrase when I was in first grade and been hearing it for the rest of your life. Rome wasn't built in a day. So when you start campaigns, we tell clients, we try to tell them like, hey, the first few weeks, we're going to not touch your accounts very much. We're trying to build up that data. We're trying to collect information on your area, your site, your potential clients, and figuring out what they like, what they don't, what Google's going to give us and what we can go and get at. Now that's not saying that we're not getting any leads. We get leads, day one. But we're trying to temper the expectations of the client. And that might sound crazy, but at the same time there's some really, really intelligent people in the PPC world that will sit there and stand at the on the stage and pound the pulpit saying, you're not profitable with your Google Ads accounts the first 30, 60, 90 days. You will have wins through it, but it won't be where you want it. And we tell our clients that, like, without fail, we'll say that, and then we'll get the hey, I haven't gotten any deals yet. Yeah, in through one ear, out the other. Hey, I haven't gotten any deals yet, or hey, this cost per lead is kind of it's higher than I want it to be. And we say, yeah, it's higher than we want it to be too, but we're getting leads. We're going to be able to take that data and make magic happen. It's going to take a little bit. So that first month, we're kind of just telling them, hey, we're happy with where things are at. We're not satisfied, but we're happy. We're happy that it's moving in the right direction, that we're not regressing and things aren't falling apart. There's always little ripple effects. Every client's different. We treat every client different, depending on what their needs are. They might have a monster budget and they might have a miniature budget. So everybody, that data that comes in, we just tell them, like, will you potentially get a deal in the first 30 days? Sure, you might. That's very possible. Again, real estate is our industry, so it's a little bit different. If you're doing plumbing and you're doing 24/7 support, then yeah, you're probably going to get some deals coming in pretty quick. But how consistent that works, right? So we're looking at consistency over the fact of, hey, it's this is a sure thing, and we're going to be making money tomorrow. It's just not the case. With good onboarding and then good follow-up, we see that being really well, where we have clients that buy into give us 90 days, we'll show you what you can do. That'll be a good frame of reference for future, and then go from there.
100%. Love it. Mark, what do you got?
Okay, I take this from two angles. One is what should you expect? And then what we try to educate our clients, especially our white label agencies, on how to set expectations. So the sales process is a little challenging because you want to create enthusiasm for what you're selling. So you want to create the enthusiasm for the fact that they are missing out on leads now. Clearly people are searching for what they do, and you try to play on that fear a little bit. At the same time, you want to set the expectations in a way that people aren't coming back 2 days after you launch wondering why they haven't, doubled their business, type of thing. So this all happens during the sales process. It's a little bit of a dance. I don't try to upplay expectations too far. I try to be as straight and realistic as possible, but you don't want to be too much of a downer because you are trying to sell things after all. And because honestly, they probably need to be on Google. They're just losing business for not being there. So setting the expectations, and we often try to string out those expectations to the first 90 days. I'm expecting good things to happen in the first 30 days. Now, from that 30-day, I look at the onboarding process as part of that and the build out and stuff like that. So that may be a few days. And then you've got the rest of the month to deliver on expectations. People say, when will I get my first lead? And my answer typically is, I've seen it happen in 15 minutes. I've seen it happen in 15 days. So my answer is essentially a non-answer in that, because that's literally what I've seen and I don't know. Depending on how much the person knows and how much they want to hear, I might go into some detail about how every market's different, cost per clicks are different, estimates that you get from the Google Ads keyword tool, which is still the best tool to use, but it's still not good, and they may be entirely inaccurate. So we take a conservative approach, which means we're not throwing your money away to start. But it also means that you're not going to see results as quickly as if we took a non-conservative, took a more aggressive approach. But you're also not going to come back to us and say, how come I have $900 leads in a space that should have $150 leads? So that's sort of, we start setting expectations, and we try to repeat as often as possible what those expectations should be. Having said that, it often doesn't matter. People know, it's like, what should my budget be? I can go through a 15-minute explanation of how to set your Google Ads budget, but they already decided they want to spend $1,500 a month. So it didn't matter.
Got it. I like it. All right. I took notes here. A lot of good stuff here. Number one, I'm going to start with the budgets, because you brought that the last point and it's sticking with me. We have budget requirements. If you come in with a non-niche appropriate budget, it's not going to fly. It's not going to work. You're not going to get the velocity of leads to get enough deal flow to make it worth it. Now, you can put a caveat in there. If you're selling real estate and your potential commission is 25 grand, a little bit different than if you're a carpet cleaner and your potential job is $150.
Right.
So there's our sales has a little bit of leeway there, but the reality is we have there's videos on this channel about Google Ads budget, how to determine the budget. We call it the Google Ads golden ratio. You want at least 5 clicks per day at a minimum. You could maybe get down to 4, but really you want 5. In Nix, you probably want 10 or 20 per day, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So budget's super important, because if you don't have that, you're just not going to, right out of the gate, you're behind the 8 ball, and you're going to be losing, and you're going to have a salty client. So we try to pre-frame, like, this budget, just because you spent $500 on a val pack does not mean that's appropriate to spend $500 a month in Google Ads. It's a market-driven approach. Just because I want Apple stock at $15 does not mean I'm getting it there. So that's partial. It doesn't work that way. So That's the big thing. Setting expectation right at the gate. Like, hey, bro, if you don't have the appropriate budget, we're not doing this. It's not going to fly. Next thing we do is like both of you basically said, was under promise, over deliver. Pre downsell, while actively selling, downsell the velocity of it, because we all have the case studies we can look at as proof, but just making sure that this isn't the first 7 days that the campaign's live. The client understands they've been running for a couple months. I think that helps. Next one is we all work. We typically aren't doing custom work. We're working in niches that we've been in hundreds or thousands of times before. So out of the gate, we have a really good sense of what works and what doesn't work. Having said that, it's a market, and every market reacts differently. Some ad groups in some markets work perfectly. Others will make your cost per lead skyrocket beyond belief. So it's the same, but it's different, and everyone's competing a little bit differently. So you have to react to how the market is. You want to be aggressively reactive, if that makes sense. And then the next one is, we liken it to a newborn baby. First you're having sex, and then the pregnancy happens. So sales process and the build out. Baby's born, that's like a new campaign. You've got your infant, you've got your toddler, you've got your kid, your preteen, your teen, your adult, and then your actual real adult that knows their shit and has got his life together. Those things take time. They don't just happen in a week's time. So we just talk about the maturation or maturing process of a campaign, and kind of just liken to that. I find that using analogies really helps people wrap their head around it. We also use the steak analogy. Like, you got the cow, then you got to kill the cow, then you got to piece it out, then you got the piece of meat. That piece of meat's covered in fat. You got to trim the fat, then you got to cut it for service. and then you got to grill it. Then you got to let it cool for a second. Then you eat it. So like, I just find analogies help a lot, and that's how we describe it to people. And you guys both nailed it. This is a process. This is a 60, 90-day process to get things dialed in. This is not a silver bullet. This is not a set it and forget it. However, once you get this thing dialed in and it's working, it can literally change your life and change your business. And that's the beauty of Google Ads. But if you think it's in the first week, in the first month, you're going to be rudely mistaken. And if you let Google reps run shit for you, you're even going to be more rudely mistaken. So that's my take on it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and I'll add a few things. Like, again, if people are watching this and they're account managers, right? Don't promise the world, right? Just because there's some jackass that has gone out and made some fake testimonials on their page and had somebody, you know, what we don't talk about at our company is, like, we have a guy that just started. He has 36 leads. He has 6 signed damn contracts right now in an area that I want to say the average home sale price is like 700,000. So he has stacked 1,000% ROI, or, you know, whatever number. It's an astronomical number. What I didn't do is jump on a Zoom with him, record that, and send that out and tell everybody this is how real life is, right? We love to hear that. We love hearing those things, and we have testimonials from people. But I think the better thing to do is as a PPC manager, as a company like we have, is to, you know, temper expectations. And then we have a lot of times where we have clients come in, want us to sell them, right? Sell me on this. We've got, your competitor tells me about all the great things they're doing. And I say, okay, well, here, do this for me. Get 3 people from them that you can talk to as a reference, right? So instead of testimonials, we just tell them, go get references. We're going to start stacking videos of our long-standing clients that are popular in the industry and getting sort of the seal of approval from them. But we have a lot of people that, there are some good companies in our industry like us, and there are some really shitty ones that will sell you a ton of things, do a giant setup fee, put you in a 6-month contract, and then just expect to lose you and take somebody else in your market, right? So when you're doing that, try to go against the grain on that. It's easy for us. If we took every sales call and told everybody that we were going to make them millionaires, I mean, we'd sign up everybody, and then we'd end up being that asshole that doesn't do what we say we can do, because we don't know. The unknown is we always tell our clients, I always say this, like, theories are cool until you put data to it, or until you spend money on it, right? Everybody's got a theory. It's no different than the Mike Tyson thing. Like, everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yep.
And I honestly, I tell people, like, oh, that's the theory that you heard? Well, cool. Have they put any money towards it in your market? And then a lot of times they'll go towards that person with the shiny object and come back to us 6 months later and be like, I don't think this works at all. That's the worst part, is that we have to convince somebody that could be a potentially great client, and we could help them a ton. Convince me that you guys aren't all crooks, is what I hear a lot, right? Because there are some shitty people out there.
Yeah. I want to throw 2 things in there. Number 1, most marketing companies fucking suck.
Right.
That's the majority are awful. And number 2, I learned this from Dan Kennedy. If you don't know who Dan Kennedy is, look him up. He's a marketing legend. Just because someone else is doing something does not mean it's actually working. All it means is that they're doing it. Mm-hmm. You have to get that through your thick head. Just because you see a billboard doesn't mean it's effective. Just because you see someone's ad copy coming up for a particular keyword does not mean it's effective. Look at most people's ads and just assume they're not actually working, because they don't have tracking in place. They don't have a landing page that's converting. Just make the assumption that they're spending way more than they're actually making you believe, or I should say spending more, and it's less effective than you actually believe it is. You give everyone the benefit of the doubt. When I say you, it's the collective person out there curious about Google Ads. You just assume it's working because they're spending there. Just don't. We know companies, Nick, we won't name it. You named a Fortune 500 company that they spend their budget regardless, and it doesn't necessarily matter as much about metrics as much as I need to spend my budget,
or I'll lose it.
Or spend it is the important one. It needs to be spent.
Yeah.
So don't assume that it's actually working. Just take in that it's happening. That's it. Just because you see people going after something does not mean it's working. We have the benefit of And it's the collective we of having done this many, 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 many times. The one thing we don't have is every market's going to react differently. Even if we've been in that particular geographic market before in that niche, it was likely 6 months or a year ago, and everything is current. And it's live. These are live auctions. So that's my take on that piece.
Yep.
What do you got, Mark?
It's interesting what you said there, because we do this all the time. And if you ask us, we can't give you exact results. If you want that, you have to buy leads. You have to want to pay per lead play. Doesn't mean the leads are going to be any good. But if you want certainty of any sort, that's how you do it. I can't give people certainty because I see too many different things. We're in markets, we're in the same business, different cities. Click costs are twice as high. It's how come our leads are so much more expensive in New Jersey? Because it's fucking New Jersey.
Right.
They don't want to live there.
Wait, they're not the same as Dubuque, Iowa?
It's not, believe it or not. Now they have a lot more clicks because there's a lot of ugly people there,
right,
and they want to get that hair removed, before the 3 months of summer come up. But it's not the same as somewhere else. It's just the reality. Or we recently launched a second location for a company, and they're saying our lead costs aren't like what we're getting now. Like, no, but those lead costs weren't like what you're getting now when you started. You're looking at a mature campaign, and you're also looking at a market that's twice as competitive. How do I know? The same clicks cost twice as much there. Now, can we alleviate that over time with strategies and different things, bid strategies, et cetera? Absolutely. But it's like the guy that we were talking to that didn't want to waste any money. He wanted to know what keywords we were going to bid on because he didn't want to waste any money. First of all, no, I'm not going to tell you what keywords we're going to bid on before you've signed anything. And second of all, that's a stupid concept. You're going to waste money. Right. I mean, if you look at advertising as though every dollar has to bring me a return, then I'll ask you, is every truck you have working 100% of the time, making you money? Every truck that you own is out in the field earning money. Is every employee you have? Is your copier making you money? I mean, everything's just running 100%. There's no downside to any other expense in your business. And I forget who it was, J.C. Penney or someone that said half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. I just don't know.
Yeah, 50% of my marketing works. I just don't know which one it.
Yeah, exactly. And my biggest thing lately, when people come back to me and question their marketing, is I'm like, what you really need to do is double your spend. You probably just need to double your spend, to be honest, because most of these people haven't built marketing into their budgets to start with, and they're looking at it as every dollar has to return X number of dollars, but marketing doesn't always work that way. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm blowing the Google Ads cover here, but marketing doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you're just getting your ad in front of, even though 10% of people clicked on your ad, 90% of people saw it, and that's all we used to sell in advertising was visibility. That's what that billboard is. Or the 3 billboards that the personal injury attorney bought, one after the other at $15,000 a month. And all they're doing is hoping that someone driving by had a bad accident in a truck and will call them. So, yeah, it's.
I'll layer in one other thing on top of this that you brought up that I thought was a really good point. You mentioned main market versus opening up a second market. Also, the idea of a client being with us 6 months or a year, and all of a sudden lead costs are way different than they were a year ago. Like we had one client maybe 3 years ago, their lead cost literally doubled in a year. Mm-hmm. Only thing that was different was the click cost. CTR was the same, conversion rate was exactly the same, and their lead cost doubled. And these things happen. Like it's a market-driven thing that we don't have a control over. We can go in and use target CPA to give them an idea of what we want the cost per lead to be. But if you do that and the market's too much, it's going to choke the campaign and you're not going to get enough.
You're going to kill your leads.
Yeah.
So, or the other thing that we run into is someone else was running their campaigns or they were running their own. We launch, and the question is, oh my gosh, I was getting so many more impressions and my clicks were so cheap before.
Oh, broad match.
Yeah. So you ran a bunch of crappy keywords. Yep. That didn't convert, and you got a lot of traffic. So if what you want is impressions and clicks, we can do that. We'll switch everything. we normally do to get you leads, we'll get you impressions and clicks. We can get you all of them that you want.
It's like, would you like to leave now or in 30 days, sir? Which would you prefer? You're going to leave. It's like, do you want to waste the money or do you want to just call it a day?
Right. True.
Nick, you're in a market that definitely feels up and down pricing.
Yep. Very cyclical.
Talk to me how you talk to your clients about lead costs being different year over year, because you're also very blunt with people. And
so the funny thing is my clients have those conversations with their home buyers and home sellers all the time.
Yep.
So when they try to have that less than intelligent question to us, like, why are lead costs up? I don't know. Is your commission check up? So let's say lead costs are up 20%, right? Which is very common. The other problem is like the pandemic did an awful job of spoiling our industry. We had a lot of people exit Google Ads. They dialed back. We had a lot of our really good clients that were like, hey, I'm going to double down and spend during this because I think this is a grand opportunity. And they were right. But we went from being like, let's say it's an average of $15 a lead to $8 a lead. And then a year and a half later, like in the fall of last year, fall of 2022, they're like, hey, my lead costs are like $18, $20 a lead. How do we get them back? I'm like, start up another pandemic. I mean, I don't know, like kill half of your industry. Like, because honestly, half the industry left the ads market, and then they found out housing prices went up 30%. So then everybody jumped back in, and everybody took it to their, took it to the streets, so to speak, and added that much more spend. So when we ask those questions, I just sort of ask them like, or the other dumb question we get, and it's a question after they ask it, and I kind of browbeat them on it. They're like, yeah, okay. Like they'll ask a common question. I always use this example. Like we'll have somebody come in San Diego. You cannot find a house with a working bathroom and one bedroom under $700,000. It seems like in the San Diego, the neighborhoods and communities outside of the greater San Diego. It's a very expensive market. They'll come in and be like, well, so-and-so I mastermind with tells me that they're getting $12 leads. And I'm like, he also lives in Indianapolis. Do you want to sell houses in Indianapolis? Like, because the average home price there is, $250,000 gets you a lot of house there. Well, I would never work a $250,000 lead. Like, then shut up and go and work the $20, $25 leads. Like when they're upset that it's a $20, $25 lead, I'm like, in all actuality, it should be a $30 lead. And, if you sell one property, if it costs you $3,000 to generate 100 leads at $30 a lead, you sell one property and you get a commission check for $30,000. Tell me what your ROI is. Is it 10 to 1? All right. I was just checking. Like, and you have to sometimes do that math for them. And I have a good relationship with a lot of clients. I can be an asshole to them like that. But sometimes, the other Nick in the office is good about pointing that out and walking them through that math and being like, hey, it's this. If you want $10 leads, we will get you some shitty leads and get you $10 leads. It's going to be a blended mix of Facebook and Google.
Isn't that what Facebook is for?
Right.
$10 leads?
Yeah. Okay. $10 leads. Yeah. $6 leads, hundreds of them. So yeah, it's kind of, you toe that line of being kind of a smart ass, and you want to point out to them, like, I get what you want and I understand what you want. Ultimately, they want cheaper leads, but what we're looking for is more deals for them, right? Like, do you want more deals or do you want really cheap leads? Because we're going to have a conversation on each end of that. You're either going to be upset that the leads cost so much, but you're still getting deals, or you're going to be upset that you got a ton of shitty leads and that's my fault. So we try to tell them we would rather give you a better ROI than a no ROI.
It's a great point, and it kind of leads into the next part of the setting expectations piece. Our job is to bring the horse to water, right? Our job is to make the phone ring or get the form submitted. It's their job to sell. So, yeah. Nick, you're way more aggressive than Mark is, and I'm probably in the middle between the two of you guys. But talk to me about figuring out a client sales process. Like, talk to me about how you talk to a client about, hey, once I generate these leads, what are you doing with what are you doing with my leads? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Talk about how you talk to a client about, hey, it's your job to close these.
So I'll go first. Mark, we vet them and figure out if they've ever done online leads, if they've done internet leads before. We rarely take on a client that's never done internet leads. And the reason for that is it's a learned process. And it's a so we ask that question. What have you done with the online leads? Okay. You've done that. What's your process? Like, what's your follow-up process? How often are you gonna touch these leads? Are you gonna let the system? And back in the day, it was like, hey, you had to do speed of lead, so call them. Now we've got clients that have really amazing CRM systems that'll do a quick text, another text, and then they'll do an auto phone call, and then they'll just leave the people be. And then when they start to show up on the site to look at more houses, then they start to warm up to them, But we want to know that, so we're asking what's your process and what's your follow-up, and then. Again, those clients will come to us and be like, hey, I heard so-and-so is getting this many deals by doing this. And we tell them, yeah, because that guy's a motherfucker when it comes to like lead generation. Like that guy goes out and hammers the phones and does all of the stuff and does it double what you think you're going to do it. Like if you're telling me you're like this person, which a lot of them will front face and be like, yeah, we're like that. But then we'll get into the back end. And again, this is month 1 or month 2 when we're having that first few calls and saying, how are the leads looking? And you get the Mark, the leads are weak, right? You get that, you get a little bit of that. We'll go in and we'll be able to, technology is a bitch for some people because we got receipts. We can go in and be like, you haven't followed up on any of these leads. Like who's calling these people? There's no notes. There's no system showing that you've called. You've never texted them. And they're just sitting here and they're showing you what houses they want to look at. They're showing you what houses they prefer. Like be a steward of your website and start working those leads. So we'll kind of, in those first 90 days, we're going to figure out who they are and what they are. And some of them might be, hey, we're just cool with letting them sit on the site. We'll get deals out of it. They'll come to us ultimately. And if that's the route they want to run, then fine. We'll put them in that bucket and be like, all right, when they come to complain, we know what to do, right? Or there's the ones that are just hammering it, like this guy that's got the 6 deals and like 36 leads. He's high energy. He's on the phone with us once a week. He's trying to figure out how to double that up. And he is the poster child for speed to lead, and he is that dude that is calling nonstop. So when people ask, how do we do that? We just say, hey, go talk to this guy. He'll tell you what he's doing. But we're vetting that at the front end. We're trying to figure out what bucket they're in, and then tempering their expectations based on you don't do follow-up, so you shouldn't expect a ton.
Love it. Mark, what do you got?
I got so much to say on this topic. By the way, edit this out. I got to jump at 1. So much to say.
Leave it in.
Leave it in. I'm leaving at 1. Screw y'all. I'm old school when it comes to this. I think that marketing automation is semi-cool, but we have screwed ourselves by replacing sales with marketing automation. Pick up the freaking phone, and if someone sends you a form, get on the phone and call them. Don't count on your marketing automation to bring them in. You are losing money doing that. 99 times, not 99, a lot of times I win business by being present, literally just answering the phone call or calling someone back. And I had a second call with a prospect recently. They said, I still haven't heard from the other guy. I really want their blended set of services, but I'm inclined to go with you because you actually talked to me. And I think I saw this on Facebook this morning. Someone was posted in one of the groups I'm in where they have marketing automation and it does all this and pushes them down a funnel, blah, blah, blah. He said, I found I'm closing a lot more now that I just answer the phone. I'm like, no shit, because people know funnels. Everyone knows funnels. Now, even grandma knows she's getting funneled when she does stuff. Pick up the phone, talk to people. If you can't pick up the phone, the funnel's fine. When we deal with clients all the time, I'm talking to one right now. We'll probably do some business with them, but I've told them, you're screwing yourself because you're expecting people to set appointments to talk to you. You eliminated 75% of your client base right there. Pay someone to pick up the phone and vet them. He said, well, I'm so busy, I can only do calls at so many times, so they have to set. I can't imagine telling people you have to set an appointment to talk with me, but I like to close deals. So I guess I'm different. I don't know if I flew in the face of every marketing, everything that's cool in marketing, but I think answering your phone is huge. With what we do is we go in and look at every lead that's generated in marketing, so whether it's quotable or not, whether the clients do or not. And if it's a call coming in during their business hours that they're not opening, answering, we mark as quotable. Like, that's a plus on us. If we got you a phone call, you didn't pick it up, that's not on us. That's on you. Ed wants to say something.
We had a customer complaining, let's say a couple weeks ago, because I don't want him to identify. I don't want to identify who it was. He had no
10 minutes ago.
He had no voicemail set up, and he wasn't answering calls. We're like, come on, man! Like, how do you not have a business voicemail set up? So I mean, it may have something may have changed, and he may have changed where the calls were going to. I don't know specific on it, but there was no voicemail set up. He wasn't answering calls. One thing I want to say, just so you understand Nick's comment. Nick said speed to lead. Speed to lead means get in contact as soon as possible. Either pick up the phone directly, or if they submit a form in, you're literally calling them within 30 seconds, a minute. That's speed to lead. Yep. That's super important. There's a lot of data on that, like macro level data from these big analytic companies that study across industries. And the faster you can connect with a lead, the higher likelihood you have of closing that deal. Typically, it's either the first or last person they speak to is who closes them. And it's rarely the people in the middle. So you want to be first and or last, ideally. So, and how do you do that? You pick up the fucking phone, and then you follow up with the person until you close them. That's how you're first and last. So good. I really like that piece, because I think that's super important. I think we've touched on a good bit of setting expectations. I know Mark's got to jump. So you guys have anything else you want to add before we cap today off?
The leads aren't weak, you're weak.
Perfect.
That was for Mark. That's for Mark.
Answer your damn phone.
Answer your damn phone.
I like it. All right, hang on one sec. I'm going to turn this off, gentlemen.